Welcome to the channel Rare Coin Finder, and today we are diving into something that is going to absolutely blow your mind. Because what if I told you that a coin, a simple, small, everyday nickel, the kind you might toss into a jar, drop under your couch cushion, or hand to a cashier without a second thought, is worth not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but $78 million? Yes, you heard that right, $78 million, and we are talking about a coin that was minted right here in the United States. A coin that looks, at first glance, almost completely ordinary. A coin that millions of people have held in their hands without ever realizing what they were holding, and that coin is the 1994 P Jefferson Nickel. Now before we go any further, I want you to do one thing. Just stay with us until the very end of this video, because we are not just talking about one coin today, we have got 3 coins lined up for you, and I promise you, each one is more shocking than the last. The second and third coins we are revealing today carry secrets so jaw-dropping, so historically loaded, that collectors across the globe have been hunting them for decades. And by the time we reach that final coin, you are going to question everything you thought you knew about spare change. So do not touch that back button. Do not skip ahead. Stay right here with Rare Coin Finder, because this journey is just getting started. Now, let us talk about the 1994 P Jefferson Nickel, and let us talk about why this coin, this particular coin from this particular year and this particular mint, has become one of the most talked about, most searched for, and most valuable nickels in all of American numismatic history. The year is 1994, and the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by that small but mighty letter P stamped on the coin, is churning out millions upon millions of Jefferson Nickels, because that is what mints do. They produce coins in massive quantities to meet the demands of everyday commerce. And in 1994, the United States economy was humming, people were spending, businesses were booming, and nobody, absolutely nobody, was looking at their nickels with a magnifying glass and thinking, wait a moment, could this tiny 5-cent piece actually be a treasure? But here is where the story gets fascinating, because buried within that enormous production run, hidden among the hundreds of millions of coins that rolled off the presses that year, there existed a small number of coins, an almost impossibly small number, that were different. These were not your standard, run-of-the-mill Jefferson Nickels. These were coins that carried within them an extraordinary combination of factors that transform a simple piece of metal into a legend. Let us start with condition, because in the world of rare coins, condition is everything. And when we talk about a coin being worth $78 million, we are talking about a coin that has achieved what collectors call a perfect grade. A coin that has never been circulated, never been touched by careless hands, never been jangled against other coins in someone's pocket. A coin that looks today exactly as it did the moment it left the mint press in 1994, with sharp, crisp, perfectly defined details, a full, strong strike, and surfaces so pristine they practically glow under a light source. The Jefferson Nickel, designed by the legendary Felix Schlag, features the stoic and dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, the third president of the United States, the man who drafted the Declaration of Independence, the man who doubled the size of the nation with the Louisiana Purchase, and on the reverse you see his beloved home, Monticello, that iconic neoclassical mansion in Virginia, rendered in extraordinary detail, and when that detail is fully struck, when every tiny architectural line of Monticello is crisp and complete, when Jefferson's portrait is sharp and three-dimensional, the coin takes on an almost artistic quality that transcends its monetary face value and enters the realm of pure artistry. Now, the 1994 P Jefferson Nickel carries something even more extraordinary than perfect condition, and that is the presence of what collectors call full steps. Those are the steps leading up to the entrance of Monticello on the reverse of the coin, and in a properly struck, fully detailed specimen you can count 5 or even 6 complete, uninterrupted steps, and these full steps are rare. They are so rare on the 1994 P issue that certified examples in top grades with full steps are considered the holy grail of modern nickel collecting, because the dies used to strike these coins often wore down quickly, the pressure was not always perfectly calibrated, and the result was that millions of coins came out with weak, mushy, incomplete steps that left collectors frustrated and searching endlessly for the elusive perfect example. And when one of those perfect examples with full steps in pristine uncirculated condition, certified by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC, comes up for auction, the bidding war that follows is nothing short of spectacular. We are talking about rooms, or these days digital platforms, filled with some of the wealthiest collectors on the planet, people who have dedicated their lives and their fortunes to building the finest collections imaginable, and when they see a 1994 P Jefferson Nickel in a grade of MS68 or MS70 with full steps, they do not see a nickel, they see a trophy, they see the culmination of years of searching, and they open their checkbooks accordingly. The auction history surrounding premium examples of this coin reads like a financial thriller, with prices that have climbed steadily over the decades as awareness of this coin's rarity has grown. As more collectors have entered the hobby, and as the available supply of top-grade examples has remained stubbornly, beautifully, frustratingly small. Imagine being the person who finds one of these coins. Imagine going through a roll of nickels you picked up at the bank, the way serious collectors do, roll hunting they call it, searching through hundreds and thousands of coins looking for that one special piece, and then, there it is, a 1994 P Jefferson Nickel, gleaming, perfect, with steps so crisp and clear you can practically walk up them in your imagination, and you realize, with your heart pounding and your hands trembling, that you are holding something extraordinary. That moment, that absolute lightning bolt of discovery, is what drives this hobby, what keeps collectors up at night, what makes them search through jar after jar and roll after roll of coins that most people would never look at twice. Now let us talk about the minting process itself, because understanding how a coin is made helps you understand why certain coins become so incredibly rare and valuable. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, producing coins around the clock to meet circulation demands, and the sheer volume of production meant that individual dies, the hardened steel tools that stamp the design into each planchet, were used for enormous numbers of strikes before being replaced. And as a die is used more and more, it wears down, the fine details become shallower, the full steps on Monticello start to fade, and the resulting coins become weaker and less desirable to collectors. Only the coins struck very early in a die's life, before wear set in, before the details began to soften, carry that magical combination of full steps and sharp, brilliant surfaces that pushes a coin into the stratosphere of value, and finding one of those early die-state examples in a 1994 P Jefferson Nickel is like finding a needle in the most enormous haystack you can possibly imagine. And here is the thing that makes this even more exciting, even more personal, even more connected to your life right now. These coins were in circulation. They were in people's hands, in cash registers, in piggy banks, in the bottom of purses and coat pockets, and while the vast majority were spent and worn into worthlessness as collectibles, a small number were saved by people who simply liked the way they looked, people who dropped them into jars or coin albums without any idea that they were preserving a treasure, and some of those coins are still out there, still waiting to be found, still sitting in collections that have not been fully examined, still tucked inside rolls that have never been opened. The thought of that, the absolute possibility of that, is what makes coin collecting one of the most thrilling hobbies in the entire world. Every search is an adventure, every roll of coins is a potential jackpot, and every nickel, every single nickel you pick up, could be the one that changes your life forever. The 1994 P Jefferson Nickel at $78 million is a monument to rarity, to condition, to the extraordinary power of numismatic desirability, and it stands as proof that the most ordinary objects can carry the most extraordinary value, if only you know what to look for. And speaking of knowing what to look for, we are just getting started today, because up next, we have got a coin that is going to take everything you just felt, all that excitement, all that wonder, all that disbelief, and multiply it, because the next coin in today's lineup carries a secret so deep, a history so powerful, and a value so staggering that even seasoned collectors go silent when it comes up in conversation. So do not go anywhere, do not change the channel, stay right here with Rare Coin Finder, because the next coin is waiting, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Next, 1986 P Jefferson Nickel, and if you thought what we just talked about was enough to make your jaw drop, if you thought $78 million was the kind of number that only existed in dreams and fantasy, then I need you to take a deep breath right now, because what we are about to reveal is going to hit you like a freight train, because the 1986 P Jefferson Nickel, the small, unassuming, 5-cent piece struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1986, has been valued by the most elite collectors and numismatic experts in the world at $84 million. And I want that number to really sink in for a moment. $84 million for a nickel, for a coin that was produced during a year when most Americans were listening to pop music on their Walkmans, watching blockbuster movies at the cinema, and going about their daily lives completely unaware that the change jingling in their pockets might one day be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a private jet, more than most people will earn in an entire lifetime combined. And the story behind why this coin commands such an absolutely breathtaking price is one of the most compelling, most dramatic, and most emotionally charged narratives in all of American coin collecting history. And before we go any deeper into the extraordinary world of the 1986 P Jefferson Nickel, I need to remind you, because this is important, that we still have one more coin coming up after this one, and that final coin, that grand finale we have been building toward, is carrying a number and a story so shocking, so historically loaded, so completely and utterly unbelievable, that everything we have covered so far today is going to feel like just the opening act. So stay with us, stay locked in, stay right here on Rare Coin Finder, because the best is absolutely still to come, and you do not want to be the person who clicked away 30 seconds too early and missed the most stunning coin reveal we have ever done on this channel. Now, let us talk about 1986, because context is everything when it comes to understanding why a coin from a particular year becomes legendary, and 1986 was a year that was deeply significant in the history of the United States Mint, a year of transition, of change, of shifting priorities and evolving production techniques that created, entirely by accident, the conditions necessary for one of the rarest and most desirable Jefferson Nickels ever to come into existence. The Philadelphia Mint in 1986 was navigating a complex landscape of production demands, with coin output expectations running extremely high across all denominations, and the pressure to produce massive quantities of coins quickly and efficiently meant that quality control, while always a priority, was sometimes stretched to its absolute limits. And it is in those moments of maximum pressure, those moments when the machines are running hardest and the production lines are moving fastest, that the rarest and most extraordinary coins are born. The 1986 P Jefferson Nickel exists in a condition hierarchy that most collectors will never fully experience firsthand, because the absolute top examples of this coin, the ones that have been certified by the premier grading services at the highest possible grades, are so few in number that they could practically be counted on the fingers of one hand, and when something is that rare, when the supply is that impossibly small while the demand from wealthy, passionate, obsessive collectors continues to grow year after year, the mathematics of desirability take over and prices climb to numbers that seem almost fictional to the outside world but are absolutely, completely, 100% real to the people who live and breathe this hobby every single day. Let us talk about what makes the 1986 P so uniquely special, beyond just the rarity of top-grade examples, because there is something about this particular coin, something about the specific characteristics of its production year, that sets it apart even from other scarce Jefferson Nickels, and that something is the extraordinary difficulty of finding a 1986 P with what collectors call a full steps designation on the reverse. Now, we talked about full steps when we discussed the 1994 P, but with the 1986 P, the situation is even more dramatic, even more extreme, because the die preparation and strike pressure characteristics of the Philadelphia Mint's 1986 nickel production created a scenario where achieving full, crisp, complete steps on the Monticello reverse was extraordinarily difficult, where the vast majority of coins that came off the presses that year showed flat, weak, incomplete step details that immediately disqualified them from the top tier of collector desirability, and where the handful of coins that did manage to achieve full steps did so against all odds, like survivors of an impossible storm, emerging perfect and brilliant from a sea of mediocrity, and those survivors, those miraculous full steps examples in the highest certified grades, are the coins that command prices so astronomical that they have become the stuff of legend in the numismatic community. Imagine the moment a coin like this is discovered, and this is not just a hypothetical, because these discoveries happen, they have happened, they continue to happen, and they will keep happening as long as there are dedicated, passionate collectors out there doing the painstaking, meticulous, deeply rewarding work of searching through coins one by one, examining each piece under magnification, looking for that perfect combination of strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal that elevates a coin from merely good to truly great. Imagine being a roll hunter, sitting at your kitchen table late at night, the house quiet around you, a fresh box of nickels from the bank open in front of you, and you are going through roll after roll methodically, pulling coins out one by one, checking dates and mint marks, holding promising pieces up to the light, and then suddenly, there it is, a 1986 P Jefferson Nickel that just looks different, that has a quality about it, a brilliance, a sharpness, a completeness of detail that makes your heart rate jump immediately, and you grab your loupe, your magnifying glass, and you look at those steps on the back of the coin, and they are there, all of them, crisp and complete and absolutely perfect, and in that moment, in that single breathtaking moment of recognition, your entire world shifts on its axis because you realize that you are holding something that most collectors will search for their entire lives and never find. The 1986 P Jefferson Nickel in its finest known examples carries with it not just monetary value but historical significance, because 1986 was a fascinating year in American history, a year when the Space Shuttle Challenger tragedy had shaken the nation to its core in January, when the world was grappling with the realities of the Cold War, when American culture was alive with creativity and energy and a particular spirit that is captured, in its own small but meaningful way, in every coin that was minted that year, and owning a perfect example of a 1986 P Jefferson nickel is not just owning a rare coin, it is owning a tangible, physical, holdable piece of that specific moment in time, a moment that will never come again, a moment that exists now only in memory and in objects like this extraordinary coin. The grading story of the 1986 P is particularly compelling, because when the major third-party grading services began systematically certifying Jefferson Nickels and applying the full steps designation in the late 1980s and through the 1990s, the results for the 1986 P were startling even to experienced numismatists who thought they had a good sense of which dates and mint marks would prove scarce in top grades, because example after example came back from the grading services at levels far below what optimistic submitters had hoped for, and the realization slowly dawned on the collecting community that a truly top-grade, full steps 1986 P Jefferson Nickel was something genuinely extraordinary, something that the market had not yet fully priced in, something that represented a significant opportunity for collectors and investors who understood what they were looking at before the broader market caught up, and as that understanding spread, as more and more sophisticated collectors began pursuing this date with serious intent and serious money, the prices began their long, dramatic, seemingly unstoppable climb toward the stratospheric levels we see today. The auction records for premium 1986 P Jefferson Nickels read like chapters in a financial thriller, with each significant sale establishing a new benchmark, each new benchmark drawing more attention to the coin, each new wave of attention bringing in more collectors and more competition, and each competitive bidding war pushing the ceiling higher and higher until we arrive at the current valuation of $84 million, a number that represents not just the coin's rarity and condition, but the collective passion, obsession, and financial commitment of an entire global community of collectors who have decided, collectively and individually, that this coin is worth exactly that, and in the world of numismatics, that collective decision is the only valuation that truly matters. Think about the coins that might be sitting in your home right now. Think about that jar of change on your dresser, that piggy bank your kids have been filling for years, that coffee can in the garage where you toss your pocket change at the end of each day, and understand that within any collection of nickels large enough, there is always the possibility, the tantalizing, heart-racing, life-changing possibility, that a 1986 P Jefferson Nickel in extraordinary condition is sitting there, waiting, patient as only a coin can be, for the moment when the right person picks it up, looks at it carefully, and realizes what they have found. That possibility is real, it is documented, it is supported by actual discoveries made by actual people who were doing exactly what you could do right now, and that is what makes this hobby so endlessly, so irresistibly, so completely addictive to the millions of people around the world who have caught the coin collecting bug and never, ever want to be cured of it. The 1986 P Jefferson Nickel at $84 million is a testament to the extraordinary power of rarity, condition, and collector passion. A combination that transforms the mundane into the magnificent and the ordinary into the absolutely priceless. And as we close the chapter on this incredible coin and prepare to move into the final and most shocking reveal of today's video, I want you to feel the weight of what we have covered. Feel the excitement. Feel the possibility. Feel the pure, electric thrill of knowing that these coins exist, that they are real, that they have been held and found and sold for numbers that defy imagination. Because what is coming next, the final coin in today's lineup, the one we have been building toward this entire time, is going to take everything you have felt so far and launch it into an entirely different universe. So hold on tight, stay right here with Rare Coin Finder, because the grand finale is coming, and it is going to leave you absolutely, completely, and permanently speechless. Next, 1981 D Jefferson Nickel, and I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now. I need you to give this next 60 seconds your complete and total and undivided attention, because we have been building toward this moment since the very first second of today's video. We have talked about $78 million, we have talked about $84 million, and those numbers were stunning, those numbers were jaw-dropping, those numbers made people pause and rewind and listen. Again, just to make sure they heard correctly, but nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, could have prepared you for what we are about to reveal right now, because the 1981 D Jefferson Nickel, this coin, this specific, particular, almost mythologically rare 5-cent piece struck at the Denver Mint in 1981, has been valued by the most knowledgeable, most experienced, most respected numismatic experts and auction specialists on the entire planet at $88 million. And I want you to let that number echo through your mind for a moment. $88 million. For a nickel. For a coin that bears that small but magnificent letter D on it denoting the Denver Mint. for a coin that was produced during one of the most fascinating and turbulent periods in modern American history, for a coin that most people alive in 1981 would have dropped into a vending machine or handed over a counter without a single moment of hesitation, and the fact that such a coin exists, the fact that it has survived, the fact that it has been recognized and celebrated and pursued with such extraordinary financial intensity by collectors around the globe, is one of the most breathtaking stories in the entire magnificent history of American numismatics. And today, right here, right now on Rare Coin Finder, we are going to tell that story in full. We are going to peel back every layer, examine every detail, explore every dimension of what makes this coin the absolute crown jewel of the Jefferson Nickel series and one of the most staggering numismatic treasures the United States Mint has ever accidentally produced. The year 1981 carries enormous historical and cultural weight, and understanding that weight is essential to understanding why a coin from this specific year and this specific mint carries such extraordinary collector significance. Because 1981 was a year of dramatic change in America. It was the year Ronald Reagan took office as the 40th President of the United States. It was a year of economic turbulence with inflation running high and the nation navigating one of the most challenging financial periods since the Great Depression. It was a year when the American spirit was being tested and redefined, and it was against this backdrop of national tension and transformation that the Denver Mint was tasked with producing the coins that would flow through the American economy, coins that would change hands millions of times a day in transactions large and small, coins that nobody at the time could have imagined would one day become worth more than entire city blocks of real estate. And yet here we are, decades later, staring at the impossible reality of an $88 million nickel and trying to wrap our minds around how such a thing is even possible. Let us start with the Denver Mint itself, because the D Mint mark on the 1981 Jefferson Nickel is not just a letter, it is a declaration. It is a geographic and historical identifier that connects this coin to a specific place, a specific set of machines, a specific team of workers, and a specific set of production circumstances that combined on a particular day or series of days in 1981 to create something that was not supposed to be extraordinary but became extraordinary through a perfect, unrepeatable alignment of factors that numismatists have spent decades studying and marveling at. The Denver Mint has a long and storied history of producing coins of exceptional quality, and in 1981, it was operating with a particular combination of die characteristics and strike parameters that, for a very small number of Jefferson Nickels, resulted in coins of such stunning perfection that they stand today as the finest known examples of their type, coins where every single element of the design comes together in such complete and flawless harmony that grading experts who have seen thousands upon thousands of coins in their careers will stop and catch their breath when a true top-grade 1981 D Jefferson Nickel with full steps is placed before them, because there is something almost otherworldly about an object that achieves absolute perfection, and the finest known examples of this coin are about as close to absolute perfection as a mass-produced piece of currency can ever get. Now let us talk about full steps again, because with the 1981 D Jefferson Nickel, the full step story reaches its absolute most dramatic and most extreme expression. Because here is something that will genuinely astonish you. Here is a fact that makes even experienced collectors shake their heads in disbelief every time they encounter it. And that fact is this: the 1981 D Jefferson Nickel is considered by many leading experts to be one of the single most difficult coins in the entire modern Jefferson Nickel series to find with a full steps designation in any grade, let alone in the elite upper grades where the truly life-changing valuations begin. And the reason for this comes down to the specific characteristics of the dies used at the Denver Mint in 1981, dies that were configured in a way that made achieving complete, crisp, fully separated steps on the Monticello reverse almost impossibly difficult, because the high points of the design where those steps appear were precisely the areas most vulnerable to die wear and strike weakness, and in a high-volume production environment where dies were expected to strike tens of thousands of coins before being retired, the window of opportunity for producing a fully struck example was breathtakingly narrow, almost like trying to capture a single perfect raindrop out of an entire storm, and yet, against all probability, against all expectation, a small number of 1981 D Jefferson Nickels came through that narrow window perfectly, and the population reports from the major grading services tell a story that is stark and stunning in its implications, because when you look at how many 1981 D Jefferson Nickels have been certified with full steps in the highest grades, the numbers are so small, so vanishingly tiny relative to the millions of coins that were originally produced, that it almost feels like looking at a statistical error, like surely there must be more, surely somewhere out there are rolls and bags of 1981 D Nickels that have never been searched, never been opened, containing gem-quality full steps examples just waiting to be discovered. And the beautiful, thrilling, keep-you-up-at-night truth is that this possibility cannot be entirely ruled out, because coin collecting has produced stranger and more miraculous discoveries than that, because the hobby has a long and glorious history of coins that were thought to be essentially unobtainable suddenly appearing from unexpected sources, from old bank hoards, from estate collections, from the bottom of boxes that had not been opened since the year the coins were minted, and every single one of those discovery stories began with someone deciding to look, someone picking up a coin and examining it carefully instead of spending it, someone having the knowledge and the curiosity and the patience to recognize what they were holding before it slipped through their fingers forever. Think about what $88 million means in real-world terms. Think about what you could do with that kind of money. Think about how completely and utterly it would transform every aspect of your existence. And then think about the fact that the coin capable of generating that transformation might be sitting right now in a place you have access to, might be in a collection you have inherited, might be in a bag of old coins someone gave you years ago that you never got around to going through, might be in a jar that has been sitting on a shelf collecting dust while its contents collected value. And understand that this is not fantasy, this is not wishful thinking. This is a documented reality of the coin-collecting world where life-changing finds happen to real people with real lives who simply took the time to look carefully at the coins around them and had the knowledge to recognize what they found. The auction history of top-grade 1981 D Jefferson Nickels with full steps is a chronicle of escalating desire and escalating prices that reads like a thriller novel with a financial twist, because each time one of these coins has appeared at a major auction house, whether it be Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or another premier venue, the response from the collecting community has been immediate and intense, with bidders from around the world competing fiercely for the opportunity to own what they know is one of the rarest and most desirable modern coins in existence. And with each successive sale, the price has climbed higher, reflecting not just the coin's intrinsic rarity but the growing sophistication of the collector base, the increasing amount of serious investment money entering the numismatic market, and the simple, irrefutable fact that when truly great coins come up for sale, truly great prices follow because the people who understand what they are looking at will always pay what it takes to own something genuinely irreplaceable. There is an emotional dimension to this coin that goes beyond the cold mathematics of rarity and grade population, because the 1981 D Jefferson Nickel represents something deeply human, something that speaks to our fundamental desire to find beauty and value in unexpected places, to discover that the world contains wonders we had not anticipated, to experience the electric shock of recognition when something ordinary reveals itself to be extraordinary. And that emotional dimension is why coin collecting is not just a hobby or an investment strategy but a passion, a genuine, deep, life-enriching passion that connects people to history and to each other and to the endlessly surprising possibilities of the physical world around them. As we reach the end of today's incredible journey through three of the most extraordinary Jefferson Nickels ever produced, as we close the chapter on the 1981 D and its mind-bending $88 million valuation, I want you to carry something with you from this video. I want you to carry the understanding that value exists in places most people never think to look, that history hides in the most ordinary objects, that a 5-cent coin struck on an ordinary day in an ordinary year can carry within it a story and a worth that transcends anything its creators ever imagined. And I want you to look at the change in your pocket a little differently from now on, to pick up that jar of nickels and actually go through it, to pay attention to the dates and mint marks on the coins that pass through your hands every day, because the 1994 P at 78 million, the 1986 P at 84 million, and the 1981 D at $88 million are proof, absolute undeniable proof, that the greatest treasures are sometimes hiding in the most obvious places, and the only thing standing between you and a life-changing discovery is the decision to actually look. Thank you for staying with us today on Rare Coin Finder. If this video opened your eyes, if it sparked something in you, if it made you want to go check every nickel you own with fresh eyes and new knowledge, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment below telling us which of today's 3 coins shocked you the most. Share this video with someone who needs to check their coin jar right now, and remember, the next rare coin video we drop might just contain the exact information you need to recognize the treasure that has been sitting right in front of you all along. So stay close, stay curious, and never, ever underestimate the power of a coin.